So yeah, here's my motherboard. Just got it back in the mail from Asus. I'd sent it off to get an RMA done. I wasn't getting the recommended speed on my RAM. And they turned around and they kicked it back because they said the pins were bent on the socket here, which you can clearly see. If I can point out carefully here. You could see an iteration here and here, and I think right here. Okay, so let me go ahead and say that I've been having an issue with this motherboard and the RAM speed matching this DDR4 3600. I've been having an issue with that since I got the motherboard in May, and with BIOS updates, etc., it didn't fix, and I went through all the troubleshooting steps that they told me to do. They said, hey, do this, do this, do this, and you know, this shit'll work, and it never worked. So consequently, my friend's birthday was coming up, and he has kind of a shitty computer, and I decided to be a good friend. So I bought him a Core i7 7700K, and note that I have a Core i7 7700K right here. I just kept it in here because I didn't have the original box, so while this thing was gone for RMA, I just had to make sure it was secure and it wouldn't like fall apart or cats would tear it up. You know, I got my fucking terrorist right here. I love getting into shit. So anyway, so I busted this bitch open like a great friend, you know? Because I figured, why not? Like, one of the things they said is maybe your processor's bad. So, you know, I'm pulling this processor out to swap it with the one I just got from my friend from Amazon, and I dropped the fucking processor right on the socket, and that's why that happened. That's why you see the three different areas where the pins look bent. But what I did is I had to take that same screwdriver I just pointed out with earlier. I had to take it with this, and I had to carefully take my phone and zoom in and try to straighten the pins out. It's like, really, this camera's not focusing. That damn cell phone camera. And even though the pins are bent, I got them to line up correctly, like line up straight. So if you look, they go down line by line by line like this. So I got them to line up, but the problem is because they're bent, the pins normally would stick out this much, but the reason you're seeing the iteration is the other pins that are bent stick out a little bit more. They stick up a little higher. Okay, so when you take the processor and you push it down into the LGA 1151 socket and you lock it into place, it actually pushes those pins down. The contact of the processor pushes those down, and then it's seated level with all the rest of them, even though you can tell with the naked eye that, hey, there's some shit going on here. So I fired up the computer, it ran flawlessly. I played video games for like another couple weeks before I decided, you know, I'm gonna mail this in. So I mailed it in, you know, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. So in the meantime, you know, while I was waiting, you know, I just fucking did shit with life. I went to the gym more. I, you know, spent time with Boo or whatever. And then finally Asus got back to me and they said, hey dude, we're not going to honor our warranty because the pins are bent. And I tried to email them back, but you know, it was an automated reply, which I don't understand how they have an automated reply for something so specific to the model number, serial number, and the issue you're having with the motherboard. So I had to wait to call them in the morning because email came in at 3:30. And needless to say, I was not a happy camper. I called and I talked to a lady and I explained to her, you know, why I thought it was BS that the technicians just opened. That's all they did. They opened up the case, they saw the motherboard, and they go, pins are bent, we're not going to work on it. And I explained to her, I said, look lady, the pins being bent have nothing to do with anything. My computer still posts and it still boots. I still get into the operating system, I still play my games, I still run my Windows, there's no issue. What I need you to do is, you know, see if you can basically, you know, tell them to put the damn processor in there and troubleshoot the motherfucker. Excuse my language, because I was really pissed off. And I warned her before I was talking. I was like, look lady, I'm really ticked off. Because essentially the email they sent me, they said, hey dude, they're like, hey dude, this is gonna cost you $130. I'm like, $130? I bought the motherboard brand new for $250, and now you want me to drop $130. I was like, that's a total of $380 I spent on the motherboard. And don't get me wrong, I love Asus motherboards. I've had three Asus motherboards. And then I had one of my friends I recommended Asus motherboard. He likes it. Rad has one. Tony has one. Sean has one. And they all love their Asus motherboards. So I told her, I was like, look, I love your products, but this is really stupid. If you know anything about me, I'm an electronic technician, and I do this by trade. That's what I do for the military. I go in and I repair electrical components, I troubleshoot them, and usually step one to troubleshooting is try to turn the shit on, and they never turn the shit on. They do a physical inspection and they're like, we're not going to work on it. Like, I just think it's bullshit. Like, I get the warranty thing. I really do. I understand that you got to pay, but it's like they wouldn't even they want $130 to basically pull this out and put a new one in and solder it in. That's what they want $130 for. And I told him, I said, look, the motherboard brand new costs $250. That's more than half, or that's just about half. It's if you double 130, it's $260. But I mean, counting shipping and taxes, it's about half. So to me, it just doesn't make any sense, because this motherboard is a Z270 chipset. And I mean, since then, Intel's come out with a 9700X processor. They've come out with the 8700K processor. So there's no telling, like, dude, maybe in like a year or 2 years, maybe I get my taxes back and I just fucking ditch the motherboard and I have to get a new motherboard to get either one of those chips. And it doesn't make any sense to spend $400 on a fucking motherboard. I mean, I was showing you guys earlier, like, here's my case. The case was like $150. The fucking custom water cooling loop with the triple rad and the fans and shit, that was like, fuck, that was like $340, man, $350. Because EKWB, which, by the way, my recommendation personally, that's like the best water block out there. I mean, we're talking four sticks, DDR4 RGB 3600 RAM. That shit's easily up there in the 400s, easily. The processor itself, a 7700K, at the time was $350. I think it's down to like $330, or you might even be able to get a good deal for $300. I got my buddies for like $320, I think. So, I mean, there's so much shit in this fucking computer that, like, it's just like I've spent so much money already, and you want me. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention I got a GTX 1080 Ti in here, and this motherfucker was $800. And my buddy just like kind of mad, but he just got one of these exact same card on sale. There was a sale, a new egg for $650. So $650, get yourself like, this is the best GeForce GTX 1080 Ti. This is the best one, the Zotac Ampix Street, if you're interested. And it's got RGB too. So anyway, I spent a lot of money on all the components in here, and by far, as I've told everybody that's built a computer, the most important component of your computer is the motherboard, because everything depends on the motherboard. So if you get a shitty motherboard, then you may not be able to get a really good CPU. So if you're that person that's like, I can't really afford something, if you're gonna spend money, and there's no gonna, you have to spend money on the motherboard, because when you upgrade, your upgrade is going to depend whether or not you get another motherboard. So if you get a low-end motherboard, and then you decide you want to upgrade to a better chipset, but you ended up going for a cheapo motherboard, then you're just kind of stuck like Chuck. Same with the RAM. If you get a cheapo motherboard, then you can't buy like ball of RAM because it doesn't support the speed. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But yeah, you always want to go big on the motherboard. So like a $300 motherboard, a $250 to $300 motherboard is going to get you probably overclocking capabilities. It's going to get you a decent amount of RAM support, like at least 32 up to 64 gigs. It's going to get you probably the high end. You're probably going to be able to go up to, base speed of 2133 to 4200 megahertz.
6.5 hours later.
So anyway, if you look at this, it's a bunch of contacts. They're not like the old school processors. The old school processors used to be like pins on the processor side, and then they would plug into the motherboard. But now the pins just set up, and just gently sit there, and when the processor is set on top of the pins, it just makes contact with the contacts, and that's what we call these. These are contacts. So it just sits on top of it, which is not a big deal because these pins are, you know, they're sticking out slightly, and you can tell, but they are only making contact with one contact like they should be. So each pin touches a contact, and that's how that works. And my lid just came off my processor too, and that complicates things further because of I popped the lid on the die, or on the I popped the lid on that way I get a better overclock, because I can maintain the temperatures by using better thermal paste on the head there. So yeah, I hooked that joker up, no problem, fired up, booted, posted, you name it, and played video games for like another 2 weeks. And then I told my buddies, all right, man, I gotta go offline. I gotta get this RMA done. And some fucking, excuse my language, some fucking dipshit that works up at Aces in Indiana just opened that shit up, and it's like, oh, pins are bent, can't fix it. You know, pay us $130. Like, dude, put a processor. First of all, I'll be real. Like I said, I am a calibration and repair technician, okay? And the first thing I do when shit doesn't work is, yeah, I open it up, I look for physical damage first. But you know, in like my line of work, you know, working for the military, supporting military units, I don't just like call them up and say, I need you guys to buy this part, I need you to pay us money. It doesn't work that way. Like, I try to make the shit work. Now, if I cannot make the shit work, you know, by applying power, or fixing a solder job, or swapping with some components that we have, and even when I swap with the components, we keep track of that, so we charge it for it. But the thing is, I just do not refuse to work on something because there's physical damage, you know. And the way I related it to the lady, I was like, imagine I have a car and my car doesn't fucking start, okay? So I bring my car into your auto shop, and I'm telling the tech support lady this, because, you know, she's tech support. She probably doesn't understand anything about, you know, computers or electronics. And I'm like, I bring my car into your shop, I'm like, my car won't work. So if you know anything about a car starting system, there's a battery, there's a solenoid, there's a fucking starter, and if there's a manual car, there's a clutch. So I come in and my car doesn't start, and I need you to fix it. But then you call me back the next day, and you're gonna charge me $100 to do an oil change because the oil in my car hasn't been changed. It's like, have you even troubleshot anything? Have you, like, you know, it's unrelated. Yeah, it's related in the sense of the pins are bent, maybe the processor's not making correct content. But if I fucking did the RMA in May, and I waited until October to, why on God's green earth would I wait that long to send you a motherboard? And I explained to them what happened, and they just didn't give a shit. They just wanted my money. So I told them, fuck it, send it back to me. It's not that big of a deal. You know, kind of like the stoic father. I was just disappointed. I was mad in the sense of the technician was just lazy. You know, I was just mad in that sense, but I was just disappointed. You know, I said, you know what? I was like, I retire in 5 years. If you want a competent technician, come find me. In 5 years, I will definitely be available to go over there and run your shop. You know, but anyway, so this is the end of my rant. Sorry, I said some words. I may have said some things, but you know, it's just how I feel. I love Asus. I may think twice about buying something in the future because it means I have to deal with the RMA process, which I wasn't happy about. And I get that there is a policy in place, but it doesn't seem like, because here's the thing, is if you take care of a customer and you work with the customer, that customer is going to come back because they are happy with the service. You know, hey man, you brought your car to the shop, and we know that you were having problems with this, and so we troubleshot it and we fixed it. We're gonna have to charge you this much, you know. But we also noticed this was wrong. Do you want us to fix it? You know, because that's how that works. And it just seemed to me like they're just lazy. They just open it up, they look at it, and then they just put it back in the box. And you know what? And here's the worst part. I want you to pay attention to the box this came in. This came in a plain white box. I sent them the motherboard in the original motherboard packaging with the little plastic shield and the styrofoam bottom and all that. And this is what they sent me back. They sent me back some bubble wrap and just a plain white box. So, you know, when I'm getting ready to sell the motherboard or fucking, you know, whatever, fucking box it up and re-gift it. Like, it's in a white box. Like, it doesn't have the cool, big, thick, you know, I don't know, man. Just, you know, like, you know, hey, here you go, here's a processor, and I don't have a box to put it in, so I'm gonna put it in this box, and I'm gonna give it to you this way. Like, or shit, I'm gonna put it in a RAM box. Like, just the fuck out of here. So anyway, that's my rant. I'm gonna get on building my computer, and then next weekend, my boy Tony's coming over, and then we're gonna put together his new computer. It's gonna be awesome, dude. We're gonna drop a GTX 1080 Ti in there. We're gonna drop a Core i7 7700K. We're gonna drop a lot of RAM in there. You know, we're gonna get all exhibit with that shit. Yo, dog, you know, we know that you like to play games, so we did this to your computer and we pimped your rig. You know, we're gonna get all like that. So it's gonna be pretty cool. He's bringing over the motherboard, the power supply, the card, and all I got is the RAM and the CPU. So that was his Christmas and his birthday gift, was some RAM and a CPU. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching my rant vid. I will be online hopefully later tonight. You know, pending how they gave me the motherboard back. So that may be another saga, an epic saga to be continued. Hopefully not to be continued. Hopefully this is it. I don't have to deal with any more shit. I'm just gonna play my video games, and then when it comes time to upgrade my shit, I upgrade my shit. Anyway, I'll catch y'all later. Deuces.